Greetings, and thanks for joining us again for another bi-weekly update. My name is Carlos Salinas, and I'm the Regional Director for the U.S. Soybean Export Council of the Americas. This presentation is designed for key customers like you and for USEC's internal purposes. We hope that you find it of value. Before we get started, and as we always do, we'd like to recognize our growing membership. This membership includes soybean processors, soybean exporters, seed companies, equipment manufacturers, railroad surveyors, brokers, among many other important stakeholders and funding sources. And we cannot ignore the support and contribution that we receive from the U.S. soybean farmer. Without that support, this presentation would not be possible. It has been a very busy week for USEC Americas. Our friend and colleague, Dr. Jairo Mesquita, led the Aquaculture Investment Workshop in Miami with over 100 attendees. We understand the event went extremely well and was executed smoothly, so we're very pleased with the results and happy to be able to get together our aquaculture industry, which is growing quite a bit in the region. Gerardo Luna, our lead for Mexico and other countries, participated in a trade mission, which was spearheaded by the state of South Dakota, their lieutenant government and Secretary of Agriculture in Mexico City, also last week. Joining them was Mr. Mike McCraney, a USEC board member. So we were very pleased to be able to help the trade mission with the different meetings and help arrange those contacts. And I was honored to participate at the Agricultural Trade Mission in Santiago, Chile, which was spearheaded by our Undersecretary, Alexis Taylor. It was a great event, I think, for all the cooperators. It was great to meet with the industry in Chile, and I think it highlights the importance of potential growing demand for U.S. soybean meal as our industry expands in the U.S. So we hope that we can increase our market share for soybean meal in Chile. We have a brief agenda. I want to talk about barge freight. I want to talk about the Panama Canal and prices. So I'll try to be as brief as possible. So let's talk about the Mississippi River and the conditions. There has been a lot of emails going back and forth on the current situation, the lack of water, the low water levels, and the increased barge freight. Some of those exchanges, I believe, exaggerate the situation. Some are more objective. Here's an email from, or a report put together by Bloomberg regarding the conditions and highlighting how much barge freight has increased over the past week. I took a look at barge freight over the past 5 years just to compare and try to measure where we're at. And this chart gives you a good idea of the barge freight out of St. Louis over that time window. Now, you have to keep in mind that this is the time of the year where harvest begins and those bushels are beginning to hit the water. So demand for barge freight typically increases. I think it's quite normal. But I think this graph highlights how we stand today versus the past. And certainly this blue line over here gives you a very good idea where we're at compared to last year, which are very close to last year, where we also had problems in the river system, and compared to the last 4 years before that. I think it is important to understand that even though we have had difficulties and challenges in 2022, overall in the U.S., we managed to export 6% more meal than we did in 2021. So the capacity of our system to navigate around these challenging logistics has been proven. We have executed through other ports. And you also have to keep in mind that we do have plenty of barge capacity available, given that we're not necessarily maximizing exports of all grains. So the industry, it's well prepared and has experienced these challenges before. They have plenty of experience. So the situation can be managed. Now, I don't want to say that this is going to be very easy because I think a lot depends on the precipitation that we receive mainly in the Ohio River Valley in the months to come or days to come. So anyway, I think that's where we stand today. I think we have to keep our eyes open, but in no way should we say that this is a complete disaster or that we have superseded or passed this issue. I think a lot remains to be seen on how the industry navigates the river situation. So let's talk a little bit about the Panama Canal, which I think is experiencing something similar. And certainly, as some of you have said, we tend to demonize many things to make a story out of them. And I think it's important to remain objective. The main reservoir for the Panama Canal is the Gatun Lake. Gatun Lake in Panama is the main water supply. And what the Panama Canal Authority watches is the water levels of the Gatun Lake. And over here, you can see the evolution of the water levels dating back to, I think, 1965. So we're certainly on a low time window. While water levels are projected to improve between now and December, I think it's important to highlight two different things. Compared to previous years, particularly before the second canal was built, the Neo-Panamax Canal, now we're supplying water for two canals, right? So when you take a look at this chart and over history, you say, well, yeah, one thing is to provide water for one canal, the other one is to provide water for two canals. So I think you have to keep that perspective in mind. And I think you also have to keep in perspective the seasonality. I think right now is the rainy season for Panama. We haven't experienced much rain. I live here in Panama. And this rainy season is going to come to an end pretty soon, the next few months. So if we don't receive further precipitation, we're certainly going to struggle through the next window or the next dry season here in Panama. So I think much remains to be seen. The good news is that last night we received a lot of rain. Actually, I got pretty soaked as I was outside. So there is potential to see some improvement. And the other thing that people tend to note in Panama when they come in, particularly as they fly in, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, look how many vessels are waiting to cross the Panama Canal." And I see those vessels every day, and I think the number of vessels hasn't necessarily increased materially. The vessels that are waiting or have been waiting for a while are the ones that have not scheduled their crossing ahead of time. The other ones, I think, the waiting times are not excessive. Nonetheless, the Panama Canal Authority does have a publication, and the good thing is that on their estimate, while there's never a guarantee, they're expecting to gain 2.5 feet in Laguna Gatun between now and December, which is good news. If that materializes, that means that this red line is where we're going to be at the end of December. It's still not where you want to be, but again, it is a reality that it's going to be challenging. Again, I don't want to say that the world's coming to an end. No, this is where we have no problems in Panama, but I think it's important to take a look at the facts and rely on official sources like the Panama Canal Authority. Okay, so changing subjects completely, let's talk about prices. We have seen a significant evolution on prices recently in our sector. And as I always do, I like to compare prices in percentages, and I like to normalize the prices as of Jan 1 of 2023 and watch that percentage evolution. So the chart I'm about to show you does exactly that. We'll take a look at that evolution year to date and see what some of our commodities have done. Soybean meal is down 7% year to date. When we take a look at soybeans and soybean oil, that's down 10% year to date. Palm oil is down 13%. Corn is down 22% year to date, and hybrid winter wheat down 25%. So certainly we've experienced, I would say, a bearish market over the past few months in our industry. But I want to compare this to other commodities just to give you a perspective. Some of the commodities I will share, most of them have also been impacted by weather. So the reason I want to show you this is because it's important to keep in mind how quickly things could turn around. So let's take a look at live cattle. Live cattle is up 14%. Crude oil, not weather driven, but that's up 17%, which has a tendency to pull up vegetable oils as they have somewhat of a correlation. When we take a look at cocoa, that's up 33%. Sugar is up 43%. It'll be interesting how the Brazilian sugar mills decide to do, whether produce sugar or ethanol, at least the ones that have the capacity to switch between one product and the other, given the sugar is up 43%. And orange juice is up 69%, a significant uptick, naturally weather-driven. So this gives you an idea of the relationship between different commodities and what that volatility and weather could mean. So again, it's a very volatile environment nonetheless. So next, I want to share with you a seasonality analysis for soybean meal. I like to take a look at the price of soybean meal over the past 20 years and see how many times in a specific time window soybean meal prices have gone up and how many times they've gone down. And I think this is one of many tools that you can use for risk management purposes. It should not be the only tool. Again, there's many things you should consider and consult with your risk management expert. So, so before I get started, I'll share this quote with you. I find it interesting, particularly for our traders. It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. And they claim it is written by Mark Twain. I have not seen that quote from Mark Twain, or I've looked for it and I haven't found it. But nonetheless, I found the quote very applicable and quite interesting perspective. So let's take a look at the seasonality of soybean meal, normalizing the price of soybean meal at 100% as of October 5 over the past 20 years. And if we take a look at this chart, over the past 20 years, soybean meal has rallied 70% of the time during this time window. When it has rallied as much as 26, 27%. And when it has broken in price, it's broken about 6%. So this gives you an idea of that risk or that volatility. If you're interested in the specific years of up and down, you can take a picture, you can pause this video and see which are the years that it has gone up or down during this time window of October 5 and November 30th. When you take a look at the price of soybeans, they're actually very similar as well. So we've seen the similar price evolution. I cannot speak for corn or the other grains. I have not done that analysis. I hope the information shared here with you was of value. We appreciate your feedback so we can continue to improve this. I apologize, my presentation wasn't as polished. It's been a very challenging and busy week for many reasons. Nonetheless, I look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks, and please send me your feedback. I'm more than happy to make changes and adjust this for the better. Have a great week and look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks.